Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Untitled Tarot and to my late full moon readings. I tried to start on the full moon yesterday. If you saw the one reading that I did present, I was having technical issues. But I really enjoy doing these Gods at Play readings, looking at the opposing forces that may be working with us over the past. Well, for today's reading, it's an interesting one because it could be for the next 2 weeks, waiting up until the new moon, and we're clearing out of the whole Cancer Capricorn cycle, which this lunar eclipse last night, which was not a good one. Listening to all the astrologers, it's not good. It could be, obviously, for the next 4 weeks, working up until the next full moon. It could be for the next 6 months, working all the way towards the next eclipse, which I think is on the winter solstice. It's interesting that this year, which is remarkable for having 6 eclipses rather than 4, that the eclipses are actually smack bang on the solstice points. So, just in case you hadn't noticed, 2020 is a really big year. And of course, there's nothing going on in the world that would give you that impression, is there? Right, so I look at the opposing forces here. This is a... you could ask a question beforehand. It's not the sort of reading where I guarantee that you will actually get an answer because, as I say, we are looking at the forces. We are looking at the energies that are at play. I have 2 rows on my reading. The top row is looking at the gods as archontic masks, as in forces that are designed to oppress us, to press us down and keep us separated from the divine. The bottom row is a more pagan view of the gods, where they are free natural forces, independent entities and energies in and of their own right, and they are working to lift us up. Now, I come from a philosophy where, within reason, and there's a comment in itself, but within reason, everything is true. Everything is real. So I can see the effects of the archontic masks of the gods, and I can see the gods. I have more of a pagan background than not. So it's I have Gnostic leanings as well. So the two sort of clash against one another. And there's always the thought that the pagan gods, if there are only archons and then the angels above them, then the pagan gods that we work with are egregores, astral creations of mankind. But these pagan gods, these egregores, are old creations of mankind. They'll have gained some wisdom and some energy and some power along the way. I don't personally think that they are egregores, although I do think that there are egregores of them, if that makes sense. Anyway, way too technical. Let's me get on to dealing the cards. So it's a general reading. There's not even an element of take what resonates necessarily because it's not that sort of reading. You can have a look at the energies and then observe to see whether they're at play or not in your life, and you're not necessarily going to know while watching the reading right now. But don't take my words as gospel, but also do watch your sun, your moon and your rising signs. I think certainly in a lunar eclipse month, watch your moon. Definitely. Watch your sun sign because, as Soul Garden TV says, Chris Witecki, that's your first story, your primary story. Your rising sign is the secondary story. Although in ancient astrology, your rising sign was the most important. But when we're dealing with moon readings, I think the moon features in there somewhere. So if you don't know what your moon and rising sign are, there's a link down below in the description. Follow that through to, I think it's a Cafe Astrology one, but AstroSeek is really good as well, because you can do all sorts of little, like change the house system that you're working with, and do you want to see asteroids or not. So I think I should start putting the AstroSeek link in there as well. There's also a link down there for a Facebook page for the channel. Now that has its own inbox, so if you want to contact me directly for a personal reading via that, you can do. I post all of these videos obviously, and all the astrology videos that I watch, and sometimes other, well, as I call it, in a respectful and reverent fashion, all the hocus pocus nonsense that I watch, because people can get too serious with this, and the whole point of existence is supposed to be working towards joy, isn't it? You know, so, you know, yes, take it seriously, but don't take it too seriously. You know, have a sense of humour about it, because the world is ludicrous. The fact that we chose to do this as incarnate souls is ludicrous, and so it's worth a smile. Yeah, I think that's it for the housekeeping. So, like I say, looking at the opposing energies, because full moon, sun opposed moon. All right, let me bring up the cards. And as always, there is a timestamp down below. And if you've just joined us after it, welcome Virgo rising and Virgo moon. Right, I'm rather seeing that there is a call to action. You are being urged to take some action, but I rather feel that this action is quite dramatic, but all thunder and no force. It's like there's the a rumble of threat, a rumble of urging for you to take some step, to keep the peace, to protect your home, to purify something and bring on a change, but a change that is way too stormy. And I think normally all of that whole top row would be something I would give as good advice. Go for it. Take the action, protect the, you know, find the way to keep the peace and take the action. But it's that whole phrase of, you've got to keep the peace because somebody else is giving you all this. Yeah, that doesn't sit right with me. Purification, really? Because you're not the only person who has made mistakes. If indeed you are the person who made some mistakes, with Penthesilea here, yeah, set things right that you're guilty of, absolutely. But you don't have to feel guilty for something that someone else has done. And you don't have to feel guilty for something that someone else did to you. Give that up. You know, there's, right, so you're being called to go on, step up, come on. You can be bigger than this. You can be more. Take the action. But now is not the time. There's information that's going to come your way. There's gateways that will come open for you that they're not all there yet. What you need to do during this period is plan. You need to plan and get your... oh, that's interesting. If there is this threat of change, this thunder rumbling in the distance that you're being told to take charge of, otherwise your home is threatened. And bear in mind, home could mean home, but it could mean your place of work. It could mean your home base, your home of operations. It could even mean that you have a philosophy that's under threat. You know, certainly if you're involved in politics or you're involved in a science department or something, you know, something educational and research oriented. that it's under threat and that this needs to be put an end to. But this illusion of peace that is offered, it's not there. It's trickery. And it's also, I think, that you are being tricked, magician here, to take responsibility for things that you are not responsible for and things that you should not feel guilty for. And there is no need to keep your mouth shut to allow some form of change to happen that you know is going to be a disaster. These messages are always so ambiguous, aren't they? But the time now, Queen of Wands, Jade Emperor with organisation, Hermes with communication, and Hermes opens doorways. You know, Hermes is the messenger between the physical realms, the higher realms, and the underworld. Hermes is information. So if there is a rumble of thunder in the distance, it is up to you to plan and have the courage to face whatever actually turns up. But you don't need to go looking for it. If you go looking for it, it's almost like you're stretching out and you can end up... Oh, sorry, stay in camera. Right, you're stretching out and you could almost end up overbalancing and falling over. There's no need. Focus on that home base, because guidance is coming. There's certainly wounds here that are coming up to attention, that they are coming up to where you are without. But this change that someone else is urging for, someone else could be society, someone else could be someone in the home, in the workplace, somebody close. Or, you know, like I say, if it's like online philosophy, some form of online philosophy, then someone influential is urging for some action or another. But we have, from the Oracle of Heaven and Hell, and it landed this way up Paimon, with deception. We've got the Seven of Swords here, right underneath Morgan Le Fay, magic. Morgan Le Fay here as a positive force. Morgan Le Fay as believe in magic, but also take your own independence, especially feminine independence. There's a wonderful book by Marion Zimmer Bradley, Mists of Avalon, which was painting Morgan Le Fay in... She's not the only author that's done this since, but I think she was one of the first, in as a paragon of... I'm sure there's another word I need to use, but a paragon of feminism, of a woman trying to take her own power rather than just being subservient to all the men around her. And that's why they badmouth her in history. That's one interpretation of the legends. There are numerous legends. But yes, allow space for the magic to unfold. Do not be deceived, but build a structure up. Be strategic with how you are looking after or holding your position. I'm not even going to say looking after, how you are holding your position. Because with that courage is coming happiness. 10 of Cups here. But there is a wound, but that's clarified by the 5 of Pentacles. So the 5 of Pentacles says two things: lack and freedom. And guidance. People forget about the lights from the church window, or hear a sprinkling of fairy dust from a church window that's stuck in a wall that's unbuilt. There is a wound that's coming up, but I want to make sure that you are aware of whose wound it is, really, with Penthesilea here. Because there may be something that you're owning up to. And if there is, fine, great, go for it. Do it. But you don't need to go through some weird purification ritual because you were responsible for it. But also, just check what you are feeling guilty about. Because It's not all you. Simple as that. It's not all you. And have the courage to, for the moment, not take action because you are being deceived. And even though you are being deceived, you are being asked by Haziel here to forgive those who are deceiving you. That one might be a bit more tricky. But you are being deceived, and they might not know that they are deceiving you, but there's certainly no need for... Right, so get rid of the guilt. Don't necessarily take an aggressive action, an action that takes you outside of your normal sphere. You do not need the transition. You do not need the underworld journey and weird purification rituals at the moment. You need to have your contingency plans sorted. Your, what do you call, like in California, your box for in case there's an earthquake or a fire. Emergency box, safe box. You know, the one that you keep all your documents in and everything for just in case the worst happens. But yeah, make sure that that's in order. Make sure your first aid kit is well stocked. Make sure your finances are in order. Make sure that, as I think I said in the Lunar Eclipse reading, that the windows are working and the pipes aren't leaking and, you know, all the maintenance stuff. Make sure that you have all of your just in case stuff ready and accessible. Okay, so, yeah, that's that, Virgo. So comment if it means anything to you. Obviously like, share, subscribe, and I don't know what your next reading will be because I haven't planned that far ahead and it's been a bit chaotic recently. Hopefully that chaos will ease up, whether it's Mercury retrograde or the eclipse, or just general work and life, because the world's crazy at the moment. There will be another reading soon. See you soon. Cheers.